What if I told you there's a dish you probably eat regularly, perhaps even for breakfast, that's almost exactly the same recipe our Stone Age ancestors enjoyed? We're not talking about something vaguely similar, like roasted meat or berries. This is a specific, processed food, made with intention, whose preparation has barely changed in thousands of years. It's a taste of the deep past, sitting right on your modern plate. Most ancient foods are lost to time, their methods forgotten or ingredients extinct. Yet, this one food has persisted, a culinary time capsule connecting you directly to people who lived when mammoths roamed. It challenges everything we think we know about the sophistication of early human diets. Prepare to have your understanding of breakfast and history completely turned upside down. We often picture our Stone Age ancestors as primarily meat eaters, relentlessly hunting and foraging for whatever they could find. This image of the caveman diet is powerful, even influencing modern food trends. But the reality, particularly regarding grains and plants, was far more nuanced and, frankly, far more innovative than many imagine. For a long time, archaeologists believed complex grain processing was a hallmark of settled agriculture, starting around 10,000 years ago. The idea was simple. Why go to the trouble of grinding tiny seeds if you could just pick fruit or hunt bigger game? This seemed like logical reasoning for a nomadic lifestyle. Then, discoveries started to emerge that told a very different story. Researchers found grinding stones, previously overlooked or misidentified, at much older sites. These weren't just for pulverizing nuts. They bore the distinct patterns of processing small, tough grains. The evidence was literally under their noses. The most compelling findings came from sites like Ohelo II in Israel, dating back an astonishing 23,000 years. Here, archaeologists uncovered not just evidence of wild cereals, but sophisticated tools clearly used for their preparation. This was a true game-changer in understanding ancient diets. Among these discoveries were perfectly preserved seeds and plant remains, some still adhering to ancient grinding stones. The analysis revealed a surprisingly diverse range of wild grains and pulses being utilized. Our ancestors weren't just nibbling on a few seeds, they were harvesting and processing them systematically. This changed the entire narrative. Suddenly, hunter-gatherers weren't just opportunists, they were expert botanists and food technologists. They knew which plants were edible, where to find them, and crucially, how to transform them into digestible meals. It was a level of scientific knowledge we rarely attribute to pre-agricultural societies. The challenge with wild grains is that they're often tough, indigestible, and require significant processing to extract nutrients. Unlike fruits or roots, you can't just pick and eat them. This is where the ancient recipe truly begins to take shape, requiring ingenuity and patience. First, the harvesting. These early humans would have gathered wild cereals like wheat and barley, perhaps using simple sickles or by hand. This was backbreaking work, ensuring a steady supply of these tiny but energy-rich food sources. It speaks to their value in the ancient diet. Then came the crucial step, grinding. The collected grains were placed on a larger flat stone, called a quern, and meticulously crushed and rubbed with a smaller hand stone. This broke down the tough outer husks and released the nutritious endosperm inside. It was a rhythmic, laborious process. The result was a coarse flour or meal, nothing like the fine white flour we use today, but still a significant transformation. This flour could be stored, providing a valuable energy source during leaner times. It represented security, a buffer against starvation. But eating raw flour is hardly appealing or even fully digestible. The next critical step was cooking. And this is where the 23,000-year-old recipe truly aligns with something you might eat this morning. What do you do with coarse grain flour and water? You add water, of course. Combining the coarse grain meal with water creates a thick, paste-like mixture. This wasn't for bread yet, as yeast fermentation for leavened bread came much later. No, this was something simpler, more elemental, and surprisingly delicious. Then you heat it. Using heated stones, placing the mixture directly on hot coals, or simmering it in rudimentary pottery over a fire, they cooked this paste. The heat broke down starches further, making the nutrients more accessible and creating a soft, digestible texture. This was comfort food at its most ancient. The end result? A thick, nutritious, warm gruel. Yes, you guessed it, ancient porridge. It might not sound glamorous, but imagine being a hunter-gatherer after a long, cold day and having a bowl of warm, starchy, calorie-dense sustenance. It was life-saving and utterly satisfying. Archaeological findings from multiple sites confirm this. Charred remains of cooked grains, some still showing the consistency of gruel, have been identified by food scientists. They can even analyze the types of grains used, revealing an incredible diversity in different regions. And here's the most mind-bending part. The fundamental process hasn't changed. Take whole oats, add water or milk, and heat it. You are literally making a meal using the same core technique that humans perfected over 20 millennia ago. Your morning oatmeal is a direct link to the Stone Age. While modern versions often include sugar, fruit, or cinnamon, the base remains the same. A simple gruel made from processed grains and liquid, cooked into a nourishing meal. It's a testament to the effectiveness and simplicity of this ancient recipe that it has endured unchanged. But why porridge? Why did this specific preparation method become so widespread and persistent? The answer lies in its incredible practicality and nutritional value for early humans. It was more than just a meal, it was an evolutionary advantage. First, digestibility. Cooking grains into a gruel breaks down complex starches, making them much easier for the human digestive system to process. Raw grains can cause discomfort and don't yield as much energy, a crucial factor when survival is paramount. Second, efficiency. Porridge maximized the caloric return from often scarce grain resources. Every precious seed could be turned into a readily available burst of energy. This was vital for a physically demanding hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Third, palatability. A warm, soft, bland but filling meal would have been incredibly comforting and satisfying. It offered a break from tough roots or raw meat, providing a sense of satiety that was psychologically as well as physically beneficial. It was good for the soul. Fourth, versatility. Ancient foragers could add anything available to their gruel: berries, nuts, dried meat, even fish. This created a diverse and balanced meal, adapting to seasonal availability and local resources. It was a blank canvas for ancient cuisine. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, storage. Ground flour and cooked grains were much easier to store and transport than bulky raw plants. This meant they could build up reserves for winter or during periods of scarcity, a critical step towards food security. This ability to process and store grains also had profound implications for social structures. It allowed groups to stay in one place longer, reducing constant nomadic movement. It paved the way, slowly but surely, for more settled communities and, eventually, agriculture itself. The discovery of ancient porridge recipes pushes back the timeline for sophisticated food preparation by tens of thousands of years. It tells us that our ancestors weren't just surviving. They were innovating, experimenting, and developing complex culinary traditions. Think about the effort involved: identifying the correct grains, harvesting them, painstakingly grinding them, and then inventing a cooking method that made them digestible and delicious. This wasn't accidental, it was deliberate, intelligent problem-solving. It also challenges the notion of a paleo diet focusing almost exclusively on meat. Our ancient diet was far richer in plant-based foods than many modern interpretations suggest. Grains, pulses, and tubers played a much larger, more diverse role. The sheer longevity of the porridge recipe is astonishing. Cultures across the globe, separated by vast distances and millennia, independently arrived at similar gruel-based meals using their local grains. From oat porridge in Europe to rice congee in Asia, the concept is universal. The oldest identifiable version of porridge ever discovered dates back to a whopping 32,000 years ago, found in Russia. Evidence points to primitive people using tubers, not just grains, to create a similar boiled meal. The adaptability of the concept is truly remarkable. So next time you're stirring your morning oats, take a moment to appreciate the incredible legacy in your bowl. You're participating in one of humanity's longest-running culinary traditions. It's a taste of history, a direct connection to our ingenious, resourceful ancestors. This seemingly simple dish represents a monumental leap in human ingenuity. It's a silent testament to our ancestors' ability to harness the environment, innovate with tools, and develop sophisticated dietary strategies long before the dawn of agriculture. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other modern comforts or habits might have surprisingly deep roots in our ancient past, connecting us to a lineage of human experience we rarely consider? The more we look, the more we find these echoes of deep history. What everyday food do you think has the most surprisingly ancient origins? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. And if you're curious to uncover more hidden connections to our past, hit that subscribe button to keep wondering with us.